Kutztown Live. Kutztown University Campus's campus and community interest radio magazine. You can call Kutztown Live at 610-683-4859. And now, your host for Kutztown Live, Juliana Jablonski.
Good afternoon and welcome to Kutztown Live, Kutztown University's campus and community talk show. I am your host, Juliana Jablonski, for the next hour. Thank you for tuning in with us today. Last Tuesday, we had a crazy day here in the KUR studios with lots of guests in and out. Last week, we were able to speak to Kevin McCloskey. He was here speaking to us about the 19th Annual Children's Literature Conference that will be held here on campus on April 1st. And after that, we spoke to Frances Cortez Funk from the Health and Wellness Center, and she was here speaking to us about a new program that will be coming to campus. Then we were able to speak to Utam and Tinky from the Kutztown Slavic Club. They were here to promote an event their club was putting on last Wednesday. And then we ended last week's show speaking to Natalie from Kutztown Resist, and she was able to give us a little bit more information on what Kutztown Resist is all about. And as always, if you missed last week's show, feel free to head on over to the KUR website at www.kutztown.edu/KUR and click on the podcast link. There you can hear last week's show. And I know KUR has been using Mixcloud to record all the shows that are put on here by KUR for people to listen to later. So be sure to check out some of the other shows that go on here at KUR. But now on to today's show. We have our reoccurring guest, Laura D'Onofrio-Galli from the Northeast Berks Chamber of Commerce. She is always keeping us updated on all of the events going on. And as always, she has brought with her a special guest this week. And this week, her special guest is Diane Dudley from Browning Dudley here in Kutztown. Then later on in the show, we will be speaking to Rachel Hamilton from the Women's Center and the Feminist Majority Leadership Alliance. Here with us now is Lori D'Onofrio-Galli and Diane Dudley. Good afternoon, ladies, and welcome to Kutztown Live.
Hello, Juliana. How are you today?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm great, and I'm happy to be here to share information with your listeners about the Northeast Berks Chamber of Commerce. As I go through our listing of events and programs, feel free to visit our website at www.northeastberkschamber.com to stay up to date on all of our calendar items. Before I start telling you about the chamber activities, I just want to take a moment to make a shameless plug for myself, because I am working on behalf of Friend Inc., which is a local nonprofit organization in Kutztown, as one of their 6 executive bakers to help them raise money for their 28th annual Friend Inc. annual benefit auction, which will be held in Kutztown on April 29th. So I am out there raising money and practicing many baking recipes in preparation for this annual event. If anyone is interested in supporting Friend Inc. through me, and that could be the purchase of tickets for the event on the 29th, or it could be advertising or a sponsorship, or just a donation, please email me at ldg@northeastberkschamber.com, and I'll be happy to share the information with you. Now on to the chamber events. We have several networking events coming up, ribbon cuttings and grand opening mixers. And the first one is next Monday, March 6th from 5:30 to 7:30 in Fleetwood at Gessie Chiropractic. Dr. Brian Gessie has joined our chamber just a few weeks ago, and during that event, where you'll have an opportunity to meet chamber members and their guests, he will be hosting food and beverages, an acoustic band, chair massages, and there will be special offers on chiropractic and holistic services. So we hope to see you next Monday at 12 West Main Street in Fleetwood. Later in the month at Interlace Communications in Shoemakersville, Elise Mitten, who is the owner of Interlace, will be hosting a Members Hosting Members networking mixer at her office at 10 Zion Church Road, and that will start at 4:30 and end at 6, and all of these activities do appear on the Google Calendar of our website. Our next monthly breakfast meeting will be held on the third Friday of March, which is March 17th. And we have a very interesting keynote speaker that day. Her name is Maria Worth, and she is a founder and managing partner of BOTA, which is Business Owners Trade Alliance. And she will be speaking on the topic of bartering for profit and growth, how to use your business instead of your cash to get what you want. Additionally, we will be hearing from Dee Mathis from the Berks County chapter of the American Cancer Society, who will be our nonprofit partner that day. And as I'm about to introduce Diane Dudley, our guest today, I want to add that we have a new program called Working Lunch, a new series. One was held in February. The next one will be held on Wednesday, April 19th at Elm Springs Golf Club. And Diane will be one of the featured panelists that day on the topic of consulting services. We have quite a few consultant members in our chamber, and almost each one is quite unique. So now I'd like to welcome Diane Dudley from Browning Dudley. Diane, did you realize that just this month of March, which will be starting tomorrow, it's been 4 years since you joined the Northeast Berks Chamber of Commerce?
I did not realize that, Lori. Hi, thanks for having me. No, I didn't realize that. And in that 4 years, it was interesting when you were even talking about some of the events that are coming up. I know a lot of those people. So this has been a great relationship for Browning Dudley because we've really gotten to know a lot of people that are in the area.
Great. We're glad to hear that.
Good.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the background of your business?
Sure. Browning Dudley is a consulting business, and we basically provide consulting services in 2 tracks. Daryl Browning of Browning Dudley does a lot of executive coaching, and he also does crisis communication management with organizations. So what that involves is, let's say that an organization has a crisis and they know that they're going to be interviewed by the press, they have to write newspaper articles. He will coach them through that. He will write the press releases for them, coach them on how to be interviewed by the press, all under the umbrella of you need to be authentic, you don't want to say no comment, kind of what to say, what not to say. And then he also does executive coaching, one-on-one. And then my track is more under what's called organizational development. Some people know what that term means. Some people aren't quite sure. So let me start by defining organizational development. It's all about helping people in the organization be more effective at what they do, not on the technical side, but on the people side. Because as everybody knows, if you have a bad day at the end of the day, it's probably not because you didn't get the report done or, that patient didn't get the right medicine. It's probably because of, I can't believe the way that person talked to me walking down the hall. So what I do is I help people be more effective on the people side of what they do.
Are you also involved in any way with process improvement?
I'm not. I certainly know what that is. My background is I came out of GE, and that's really where I learned a lot about organizational development. I can do process improvement, but it's really not my focus at this point.
Now, of course, we've already mentioned that you're based in Kutztown.
We are.
But I'm sure you have clients in many other areas outside of this community.
Right. When you're a consultant, you go where the client is. So certainly I do have some local clients, which is kind of nice because I can just get in my car and drive down and show up when they need me. But I have some that are you have to get on a plane and you have to go work with them. And then Daryl Browning does a lot of his executive coaching just on the phone, never even has to leave his office, which is the client appreciates it because they don't have to pay any travel and living expenses.
Right.
And he appreciates it because it makes it a lot easier for him as well.
That is convenient.
Yeah, he
Less
does a lot of
overhead,
that.
right?
Yep. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, have you worked with many or some of the members of the Northeast Berks Chamber? Have you made any connections there in terms of clients?
I have made connections with one in particular. We actually kind of worked together in making a proposal for another trade organization. And what I've also done is I've networked a lot with other organizations across the Lehigh Valley, and I have gotten clients from that. When you're a consultant, this would be my coaching tip if anybody wants to go off and start a consulting business. It's really all about networking. And that's where, you never know where you'll get the next client from. You never know where the next job will come from. And 9 times out of 10, it's because of people that you know, and it's really all about networking and building those relationships, which is really my marketing strategy. Because if you think about it, organizational development really puts people sometimes in a vulnerable position, because the first thing that we do when we work with a person or a team or an organization is we would do needs assessment. Just like you would do needs assessment if you went to the doctor, you do needs assessment when you're working with groups of people. And so that puts people in a vulnerable position because they have to sometimes admit that, well, I'm not so good at that, or I really did mess that up. You have to be able to admit your mistakes. So what that means is, for me as a consultant, is that trust and building the relationship with that client is critical, because if they don't trust me, then they won't be open to the suggestions and the training and the coaching.
Now, as you know, the largest percentage of our membership is small business or solo entrepreneurs. And on a rather regular basis, I speak with people who have been working alone and are looking to take that next step to hire someone to work with them. Is that an area in which you could coach someone during that hiring process and determining, what their needs would be in terms of that new hire?
Yep, absolutely. One of the things that, first of all, whenever there's a couple different avenues of that particular situation, Lori, first of all, the person who'd be doing the hiring would need to look at their own strengths and what their weaknesses are, because ultimately, in an ideal situation, you would want to hire someone who would sort of complement where your skills are. So the needs assessment would take place there. We would also do a lot of needs assessment around helping them be strategic with the organization. We do a lot of strategic planning with organizations, kind of like, the simplest tool for that is a pretty common tool called a SWOT analysis. SWOT is an acronym. S stands for strengths, W stands for weaknesses, O stands for opportunities, T stands for threats. And so what we would do is we would sit down with that owner or that entrepreneur, have them work through the SWOT analysis, either from an organizational perspective or from their individual leadership perspective, and then have them brainstorm, okay, if this is sort of the state of your union, then what are some things that you could do that you could take advantage of your strengths, minimize your weaknesses, take advantage of your opportunities, and address your threats. Brainstorm some goals around that, or brainstorm around, okay, then this is the type of person that you might want to think about hiring. So that's all about identifying the need. And then once they had all that worked out, the whole interviewing process. There's a way to be effective at interviewing, and then there's a not. The effective way to do interviewing is behavioral interviewing. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be back on campus tomorrow morning doing some mock interviews with some students who are going through and learning that process, right? So I'm on campus twice this week. And so what that means is that if I'm interviewing somebody, I don't want to ask hypothetical questions. I don't want to ask questions like, what would you do if, and then because they'll tell you what they think you want to hear.
Is that part of career development when you're here tomorrow?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So the right way to ask the question would be, tell me about a time when you had to deal with an angry customer. What happened? What did you do? And what was the outcome? Because if you would just say, what would you do if you had to deal with an angry customer? They're going to say, oh, I would. You're not really getting the true. And the best predictor of future performance is past performance.
I've heard that question. I've heard that question myself during interviews.
That was behavioral interviewing.
Very
that was
similar.
Effective. Yep.
It must be very satisfying when you coach a business person and then they see the positive results. Can you just tell us for a few minutes what kind of feedback or testimonials you've received from people?
Sure. I have had people tell me in the past that my training has saved their marriage.
Wow.
Even though it was on the personal side, because see, or on the professional side, when you learn skills in your professional world, if you can figure out ways to apply them in your personal world, you are that much more apt to actually use them, and you'll be that much more effective. So that particular situation was actually a very long time ago, but it was around teaching how to build up other people's self-esteem and how to listen and respond with empathy. And so there had been a situation in this person's marriage that in the middle of the argument, she kept coming back to those skills and practiced those skills and came into work the next day and said, "Your training saved my marriage."
That's impressive. And I'm also sure that many spouses work together, particularly in small business situations, and that can be tricky as well.
Yeah. And then another example on this one is something that recently somebody that Daryl is working with right now. And again, this is executive coaching on the phone, but this person that he is coaching recently got a promotion. And a lot of times organizations will call us when there's a problem. It's like if
Right.
and then they just kind of want to get it documented in the file. Well, we did provide coaching for them so that now we can terminate.
Yes.
But that was this situation. But Daryl worked with this person and recently got an email and said, "This has been an amazing experience," and he has just gotten a promotion.
Wow.
Yeah. So
a transformation happened,
well,
right?
that's all about people being open to wanting to learn. We all should be working on something. We all should be having a developmental plan. And so when people are willing to learn, beyond what's in the textbook, when they're willing to learn and say, "You know what, I need to change my behavior," and tell me how to do that, it makes a difference.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
incredible. Thank you so much, Diane.
Impressive, huh?
I've learned a great deal about your business today.
Yeah.
Just to cut in, where can we go? Do you have a website or a phone number if anybody wants to call? Or
Great question, Juliana. Thank you for asking that. Yes, our website is www.browningdudley.com. And you'll find several things on the website. One is you'll find a list of all of our services. That's pretty typical. And but then you'll also find we have blogs that are on our website, which are articles that we have written, and they're updated on a regular basis. Different adults learn different ways. Some people learn best in a training classroom. Other people learn just by reading articles. Other people learn by having interactive discussions. So the blogs can be very helpful. And I actually brought one just as an example. This one is called How to Build Confidence, which is actually my development plan right now that I've been working on, because when you're a consultant, you have to be able to put yourself out there. So I actually wrote this to help myself, but it's all around getting rid of that negative self-talk. When you're in a situation where, oh, yeah, I can't believe I just did that. I really messed up. I know I could have done better. So what are you going to replace that with? And so it's a whole list of things that you can say to yourself instead of, "I really messed up," because the way that you think determines the way that you behave. So if you change the way you think, you can change the way you behave. So saying things like, "I will be deliberate in my actions," or "I will not let my behavior be impacted by the behavior of others," or "I will press through." That's always a good one. I will press through. So yes, there's blogs on our website. There's a list of services on our website. There are also other things that you can do besides just going to our website. As I said earlier, everybody should have a development plan, and you should start with doing a needs assessment, looking at yourself and saying, what is it that I need to work on? And it doesn't have to be complicated. You could do the SWOT tool that I explained earlier. There are online assessments, monster.com has some great ones. There are a lot of articles. If you're going to do research articles, we do a lot of leadership development training. Harvard Business Review is a great resource for articles around can I change my behavior? What does leadership look like? What does customer service look like? And all of their articles are based on research. So there's real support for defending why what they're saying works. And then there's a very simple newsletter called The Muse, M-U-S-E, The Muse, which again, if somebody is sort of in getting ready to transition maybe from being in school to working for a job or switching jobs, career development, as Lori was saying earlier, the Muse is a great resource. You get it. It's one of those newsletters you get every day. And every day it shows you something else that you should be thinking about. So those are a couple resources that I would recommend.
All right. And then just how long have you been doing this, and how did you get involved, or how did you begin, or how did you start it all?
Yeah, everybody always asks me that because I don't think people grow up saying I want to be an organizational development consultant. My background is in education. And I was a health and phys ed teacher, and then eventually went into business and worked in GE. Eventually went into human resources and was involved in training. And that's when I realized that my gift is really teaching. That business was bought by GE, and GE has a huge organizational development mindset. In other words, they train everybody to be leaders. They train everybody to be effective at what they do. That's where I got my master's in organizational leadership from Cairn University. And then went off and started working. I left GE and went and started working in a long-term care company. But then about 2008, the owner of that company sold it. And so then I said, I think I'm going to start consulting at this point in my life. So to answer your question specifically, I got involved in it because first I was involved in training and teaching, but then I realized that there's a broader scope of how to help people be more effective. People learn actually more outside the classroom than they do in the classroom. So then I became learning about all these other tools that I'm mentioning.
Okay. And what is GE?
General Electric.
General Electric.
Corporate America.
All right.
No, that's a good. You're not the first person that's asked me that question, so I should have explained that right from the
trying
beginning.
to guess. I'm like, but I wasn't sure. Go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, I was just kind of asking if there's any final thoughts or any final words you'd like to announce and make sure you get out there about Browning Dudley.
The only thing that I would probably really want to leave people with is that, and I've already said it, but I'll reinforce it, that everybody really should be working on something. We are never completely finished. We are always a work in progress. And so I would say that if you can't answer the question, what are you working on now? You need to take a step back and say, I need to figure that out. And use your online tools. Ask other people for feedback. That is another great way, people that you trust, that you think will be honest, so that you ultimately can become your own life coach. And so that's looking at it from an individual perspective. If you're a business owner, I would say ask those same questions for yourself and for your staff. And recognize that, you know what, sometimes it's very helpful to have a non-biased third party come in and help with that process, because we have no skin in the game, if you will. And nothing you say will shock us. It doesn't really matter. People will open up more sometimes when they have somebody who's not from the organization. So it's just two different ways to look at it.
What's like an example of like just the average person, something they should be working on or could be working on?
I already gave my example of working on building my confidence. Mm-hmm. I recently just saw that somebody wrote on one of their goals, they wanted to work at becoming a better listener. So communication is a very broad field. Mm-hmm. So when people say, I want to work on better communication, I would always sort of ask them to dig deeper and say, well, what aspect of your communication? Being a better listener, that's something that I can really work with. And what that means are things like, asking questions, making the whole active listening process. Again, with not wanting to get into the content of it, but yeah, that's a very specific skill that people can work on. There is a book, if you're not sure where to even start, called Successful Manager's Handbook. And again, look it up online, Successful Manager's Handbook, and it's a list of competencies, things like building trust, communication, team building, leadership, strategic thinking, all these behavioral competencies. And then what's really cool about it is what are some things that you can do to actually develop those competencies. So that, again, there's another resource for you.
All right. Well, thank you both for stopping in here today.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing you, Lori, in 2 weeks with the next guest. We're going to cut to a short commercial break, and we will be right back with more of Kutztown Live.
One of the great things about Kutztown is the multitude of dining options right here on campus and in town. At other universities, you may have to drive a few miles out of town to get what you're craving, but here in Kutztown, numerous options are available on and off campus. Take on campus, for example. Don't forget to check out the newly remodeled South Dining Hall, now open 24/7 during normal semesters, featuring a large menu selection and many sorts of healthy options. Over on the north side of campus, the recently redone all-you-care-to-eat venue, the Cub Cafe in the McFarland Student Union, offers a multitude of American and international options, as well as plenty of healthy choices as well. The Academic Forum is also home to a beautiful food court, which includes Chick-fil-A if your classes take you in that direction. If something off campus is what you're in the mood for, Mexican, Chinese, Italian, and organic options are all just a few blocks away. Save having to put gas in your car just to go out and eat. Here in Kutztown, it's all right at your fingertips.
It's Telescopic Topics, a look into the world above us.
Have you ever stared at a painting and wondered what natural phenomenon influenced the artist after noticing the large comet-like figure gracefully soaring across the painting? Hello, I am Moira Jefferson. Throughout the 14th and 15th centuries, a new way of painting suddenly emerged that was greatly impacted by the nature known and unknown to man. Scientists such as Kepler had an influence on artists during this period thanks to the freedom and search of truth. This vital rebirth of art and culture became known as the Renaissance, a time where science increased man's reliance on observation. A Florentine proto-Renaissance artist that was influenced by nature unknown to man was Giotto dei Boni. His influence was so important that he was commissioned in the 14th century to decorate the interior of a chapel in Italy, which would later house his greatest masterpiece, the Adoration of the Magi. The Adoration of the Magi's unique arrangement of figures within the painting makes it appear to the viewer's emotions are involved, which further adds to the theme of salvation. What makes this piece crucial is that it has a unique depiction of the Star of Bethlehem as a comet. The sole use of a comet is significant because it symbolizes major events such as the birth or rise of a king, which would lead to everyone's salvation. Furthermore, the depiction of the comet has had many scholars arguing over whether the comet Giotto depicted could possibly be Halley's comet that appeared only 3 years prior in 1301. If the comet is Halley's comet, Giotto's inclusion of the comet indicates that astronomy and natural observation played an important role in art. Fast forward to 1985, when the European Space Agency launched the first deep space mission known as Giotto, which flew by Halley's comet during its perihelion. The probe was sent into a circular orbit that would take approximately 10 months to orbit the Sun. On the 8th month, Giotto passed Halley's comet and took some extraordinary photographs and data. The Giotto probe had a tremendous impact on the planetary science community because it gave scientists and the public what they had been dying to know for centuries, the heart of a comet or its nucleus. As the centuries passed, many more artists were influenced by the brilliance of the night sky. However, it is the impact that both early Renaissance artists and scientists had on art and culture that made an everlasting impact on future missions, thus forever indicating the importance of science and art together.
Telescopic Topics, a look into the world above us. Stay tuned to KUR for more telescopic topics, and for more information, or to hear this segment again, click on the Telescopic Topics icon on the KUR website at www.kutztown.edu/KUR. Telescopic Topics is a production of the KU Physical Sciences Department and is recorded by KU astronomy students in the studios of KUR. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
It's time for your local weather forecast with JMorg 7. Tuesday will have a high of 64 degrees and a low of 53. We will be experiencing scattered showers later in the afternoon into the evening. Wednesday will have a high of 71. However, it will be breezy with rain and thunderstorms, possibly severe. Be careful driving or walking to class, especially around noon to 6 p.m. There will be a low of 44 degrees at night. Thursday, we will start to see some sunshine again with a high of 48 degrees and a low of 28. Tune in later for more weather updates from us here at KUR.
Did you know that earning a bachelor's degree increases your lifetime earning potential by $1 million? Consider Kutztown University for the start of your new adventure. At Kutztown, whether you know exactly what you want to do or you're still deciding, this is your time to explore. We want the students with spirit, and we know that creating a strong community empowers the individual. With the right support, resources, and challenges, you'll grow. Not into someone new, but into yourself. And at your best, there's no limit to what you can do. It starts as a golden bear. Here's Mitch Lambert, former member of campus radio station KUR. His KU experiences led him to become evening programmer at WEEU Radio in Reading.
Kutztown University has a club for everyone. I joined KUR, and it was by far the best decision I ever made in college. It's because of KUR that I now have a full-time job in radio.
Visit, apply, and become a Golden Bear. Go to kutztown.edu/visit to learn how you can arrange your tour today. That's kutztown.edu/visit.
The St. Christopher Minute. The season of Lent. Every year, Catholics and many other Christians observe Lent. It all starts on Ash Wednesday, with the puzzling practice of getting ashes placed on your forehead. What's that all about? And then, there's fasting on particular days and abstinence from eating meat. Did you ever wonder why? The Catholic Campus Ministry Center at Kutztown University will host a discussion on this topic on Thursday, March 2nd at 7 p.m., where we'll host this week's Keg Cafe. Yep, that's K-E-G, Kutztown Encounters God. Our night's topic will be Signs, Symbols, and Practices of Lent. We'll talk about the meaning and origin of Lent, as well as common practices. Beyond the ashes, there's days of fasting, a bunch of days of abstinence, and lots of thought about penance and sacrifice. What does it all have to do with Jesus? And what should you do about it? Give it some thought and join us at Keg Cafe. Free snacks, refreshments, and good company on Thursday, March 2nd at 7 p.m. at the St. Christopher Catholic Newman Center in the middle of campus across from Old Main. Join us.
Authoritarian, international syndication, European Broadcasting Union, international telecommunication. I can't do this anymore.
Well, Mitch, I have something that we could do to quell your boredom.
What is that?
We can listen to KUR. Have you ever listened to that?
Nope, I haven't.
Oh man, it's got all the great shows, everything from rap to rock. You will find something that will not make you bored.
Really, because I can't take this studying anymore. It's driving me bonkers.
Well, let's stop studying for electronic media and let's go listen to KUR.
Yeah!
Hello and welcome back to Kutztown Live, Kutztown University's campus and community talk show. I am your host, Juliana Jablonski. Thank you for tuning in this afternoon. Before that break there, we spoke to Lori D'Onofrio Galli of the Northeast Berks Chamber of Commerce, and along with her today was Diane Dudley of Browning Dudley. Here with us now is Rachel Hamilton from the Women's Center and the Feminist Majority Leadership Alliance. Hello and welcome on to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me here today.
Oh, we are so excited to have you here today. I know you brought along some events that the Women's Center is going to put on. Would you like to share those events with us?
Yes, I'm so excited to share them with you. So first, this Friday, we have our annual conference on the Commission of Human Diversity. So all day we have different activities and scholars that are going to be talking about the rights of all people. So this is going to be from 8 o'clock to 4 p.m. in the McFarland Student Union. So you can come to the multipurpose room to check in, and it'll be all over the Student Union building. So they'll give you, once you come into the Student Union, you can check in, and it'll be upstairs and downstairs. They'll give you directions there. So after that, there's the It's On Us, Respect My Red with Katie Costner. That's going to be on April 17th in the Schaefer Auditorium. And Katie Costner is the executive director of Take Back the Night. So that takes us into Thursday, April 20th from 10 p.m. to 5 p.m. We have the Clothesline Project, which is kind of this art piece that tells the story of rape and sexual assault victims. Each T-shirt is the story of a victim, and some of them are empowering and say that they take back each victim's story. Some of them are more somber pieces, and like I said, each one tells the story. And then that goes back into Take Back the Night, which is that evening, April 20th. And those are the events that we have for the rest of this semester.
All right. And would you like to share what your role in the Women's Center is?
So like you said, I'm both an undergraduate assistant at the Women's Center and I'm the president of FMLA. So those are two different roles that I hold. I think I kind of got into being the undergraduate assistant in my involvement of FMLA. So when I first came to Kutztown my freshman year, I'm a junior now, I got super involved in FMLA and I became a volunteer at the Women's Center right away. My first day, I came in and I said, oh, can I have an application to be a volunteer? And then after my first semester, they pulled me aside and they were like, hey, we'd love for you to apply to be an undergraduate assistant. So that's kind of how I got my job. It wasn't like I came in and applied for this job and they gave it to me. It was through my volunteering that I got the job. Mm-hmm. So I kind of helped to put together these events throughout the semester. So when you see these events, they don't just happen on their own. So our director kind of comes to me and I do kind of the logistical work on it along with our graduate assistants. They do the big work and I kind of am the person that puts the little stuff together along with our wonderful volunteers. And in the future, they might be the people who get my job when I leave and go on. So that's kind of my work. And then in FMLA, I still am in my volunteer capacity. So I wear a lot of different hats at the Women's Center. And we work really closely with the GLBTQ Center as well. You know, downstairs. We're upstairs in the old main and they're downstairs. That's why I say very lovingly I refer to them as downstairs and us as upstairs.
And besides the events that the Women's Center is putting on, what else does the Women's Center offer?
So we have a lot of facets that we do. I'm not sure. I think a lot of people know we just got a huge grant with the National Committee for It's On Us.
Okay.
I believe it was, I shouldn't quite say a $30,000 grant, so it was like a $29,500 grant. So around, we'll cap it at $30,000 grant with It's On Us, which is sexual assault. That came from the White House. Okay. So It's On Us was directly from the White House, but it also is, so you can have different It's On Us communities. So Pennsylvania is an It's On Us community. Kutztown is an It's On Us community. Kutztown, the town could be an It's On Us community, but Kutztown University is an It's On Us community. So the Women's Center does a lot of work with It's On Us, but we also do a lot of work with intersectional feminism. Okay. So we work with other marginalized groups. So a lot of people might say like, oh, well, I'm not a woman, so where's my place at the Women's Center? Mm-hmm. But we have plenty of men who come in and say, hey, I want to do work with the Women's Center. What can I do? So for instance, we're doing a pay equity bake sale with the Career Development Center. Okay. And one thing that we want to do is focus on pay equity as it pertains not just to women, but we know that there are other marginalized groups that are affected by the pay gap other than just women. So we're working with this group to show the pay gap as it pertains not just to women, but other marginalized groups. So that's something that the Women's Center is doing other than just sexual assault. So that's one of the misconceptions that I want to kind of squash right here and now on your show, that we just work with sexual assault, because there are a lot of really other great things that we do at the Women's Center. And that's one, is that we work with intersectionality.
And you mentioned you're the president of the Feminist Majority Leadership Alliance. What exactly is that group?
So the Feminist Majority Leadership Alliance is a feminist group on campus. So feminism, as if we want to give it like the dictionary definition, is,
go for it.
You know, a person who believes in the social, economic, equality of the sexes. But in FMLA, we practice intersectional feminism, which is a word that I just used to talk about the Women's Center. And intersectionality is a word that was coined by a woman named Kim Crenshaw. And it's kind of to say, like, marginalized groups kind of need to work together to say, like, okay, you're a person of color, I'm a woman, I may be trans, you may be gay, but we should work together because our interests kind of intersect here. And if we don't work together, if we say maybe, oh, I'll get mine now, but you should wait until later, that's kind of us working against each other. And we really shouldn't do that. We should all work together. So in FMLA, we kind of go with that kind of method. And I would say the Women's Center also agrees that that's kind of the best way for us all to kind of get to go with that. And FMLA, that's the kind of feminism that we try to practice every day. And I think that's the best part of feminism, is that, we learn from our mistakes in the past and we go forward And I think that's one of the criticisms of the way feminism used to be. And going forward, FMLA is definitely an intersectional group. Yeah.
And what would you say some of the issues college-aged women could be dealing with today, and what can the Women's Center do with that to help?
I think one of the issues that college-aged women face today is that women get better grades than men, statistically speaking.
Okay.
So that's like unarguably statistic facts is that women get better grades than college-aged men. But there are like there is like a pay gap because women like statistically go into different, there's like that occupational, we like go into different fields than men do. So I think the Women's Center can help by like destigmatizing women in STEM fields and saying like, hey, you know, you're a woman, you could go into sciences just as much as men could go into the sciences, you know, because women do get statistically better grades than men. There's no reason a woman couldn't go into sciences. I think another issue that women face on college campuses is a lack of mentorship because of feeling uncomfortable. I know that a lot of young women come and they say they seek out mentorship from their older counterparts, and either they can't find it or they feel awkwardness either from their they can't find it in their field. Like for instance, a young woman wouldn't be able in a STEM wouldn't be able to find a female that could mentor her because a female in that area has 50 females that want to find it, and a male would feel uncomfortable mentoring a young female. So I think that's another issue that young females find, other than like many of the obvious ones, which are like young women find rape culture to be an issue, which is like something that gets brought up very often in interviews like these, which I could talk about again and again, you know.
And I think, I'm not sure if it's a part of the Women's Center, like the RAD classes?
Those are through public safety.
Those are through public safety, okay. But I know those help with women around campuses, and I know a couple people have taken those and said those have been really helpful for them.
Yes.
Are there any final thoughts, I guess, that you would like to say about the Women's Center or any of the other groups that you're a part of, just to get the word out?
Just that if you are a woman, a man, a non-binary person, anyone who is seeking any type of help on campus, the Women's Center is somewhere that you can come. So there is no problem that we cannot send you to a resource that could help you. Just that kind of thing.
And where is the Women's Center located, or how can you get in contact with someone that's a part of the Women's Center?
So we are in Old Main. We are Old Main 126.
Okay.
And you can always call us. We are 610-683-4655, and that's our phone number. And you can always just walk in and during our regular business hours, which are 9 to 4:30.
9 to 4:30 every day of the week, or
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday.
But and you can always just walk in, and there are plenty of volunteer opportunities. We always take volunteers, and there are plenty of opportunities to come and become a part of the Feminist Majority Leadership Alliance. We have an office and we have a club, and they're very intertwined. We have a great working relationship, and there are opportunities to get involved. I think that students feel like there aren't opportunities to get involved, and they're like, oh, I wish that there were more opportunities to get involved, and they think they have to create an opportunity, but we have a club and we have a budget. We just would love more students.
And when does the club meet, or
we
what time?
meet during the free hour on Tuesdays.
There's
So
a
we
free hour on
meet,
Tuesdays?
yes, in the Women's Center Oasis, which is downstairs across from the GLBTQ Resource Center.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for stepping in today. It was wonderful to talk to you.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah. We're going to cut to a short commercial break, and we will be right back with Kutztown Live.
Tune in to Notice Latinas Sundays from 1 to 2 here on the Radio Voice, KUR, for the best in Latino news and commentary and music as well. It's Notice Latinas Sundays from 1 to 2 right here on KUR, the Radio Voice of Kutztown University.